The triad of balance, in my opinion, is one of the most important aspects of balance in our lives. And the reason I say this is because there is so much focus on one of these elements that we sometimes forget that being happy and healthy is about balance. It's not only about having too much money or having too much of wealth or having too much in terms of focus on health and too much focus or less focus on relationships. It's a balance. Now, how do we create that balance? How do we move into a state of balance without actually compromising? And please note the word compromise. Words say a lot about a conscious and a subconscious state of being. And in that state of being, it is what you ask for is what you get. And that's one of the most important things I would like to share with you, which is once you start to meditate, once you start to understand yourself, you will get the answers. You will understand that the life you are living is basically the life you're asking for. In fact, by now, I'm sure you understand the difference of need and want. So need is your basic needs, which are very important for you to survive. Wants are luxuries or things you need. No, sorry, not need. The things that you want on a daily basis. So these are extras to the needs. And both are fine. It's absolutely fine for you to want what you want. But if you do it at the cost of something else that is a needful thing for you, then you might never find that balance. Let's take health, wealth, and relationships. Now, what is health? And why is health important for us? My question is, to be healthy and happy is what we all strive for. It's a primal need. It's a want. It's something that we need to move forward to be healthy and happy. So why is it that we don't focus on health and happiness as being at the core of our foundation? Yes, we create stories and we tell ourselves that we are happy, we're going out, meeting friends, going for a beer, going for a glass of wine, going to eat dinner. Yes, absolutely. These things give you pleasure because we humans are social beings. But deep down at the core, what is the meaning of being healthy and happy? Where each cell of yours dances with happiness. It dances with the sound of ah. What is that happiness? And what is health? Health is a combination of physical, emotional, spiritual, mental, all aspects put together. So we know the connection of these four aspects of health. And they are physical, mental, emotional, spiritual health. So physical health, as we have discussed, eat well, move well, sleep well. Physical health is an important part of the whole aspect because your physical body is the most important thing. And the reason for that, it carries your brain where it needs to go. It moves you from space to space. And it gives you the freedom of expressing yourself. Our bodies are energetic beings. We transfer energy from the universe and we give it back. The physical body allows us to have a good connection with the mental body. And the mental strength and mental flexibility are an important part of mental health. So what is mental strength and what is mental flexibility? Well, as much as having mental strength, is important, mental flexibility is as important. And the reason being, if you get too stuck on certain values and beliefs without having the flexibility, it is in times like this that you will get tested because you won't be able to cope. You'll feel anxiety overtaking and overcoming you because we have created these idealistic situations in our mind, and nothing in this universe is idealistic. Intelligence, as we call it, collective consciousness, requires you to be in tune. And when you create intellect, which is very small compared to consciousness, you will have an imbalance and a disconnect. So it's very important to have your physical health and your mental health combining with each other. And this is why in today's day, yoga and meditation has become so important. In fact, it's become so important that it is one of the most trending words or modalities in the world. And for a simple reason that mankind has always known, the physical body and the mental body go hand in hand. That's why martial arts, yoga, and most of these Eastern sciences have already reached or understood what the human brain and the human body require. So, physical and mental health is achieved by moving well, eating well, and sleeping well. It's very important for us to find that balance. And that's why I keep talking about meditation being about going inwards and going outwards. And movement or physical movement is as important as meditation. Now, if you look at Ashtanga Yoga, which means the 8 limbs of yoga, or the 8 limbs, 8 steps, or you can look at it as a circle of 8 parts to the circle. It doesn't necessarily have to be step by step. Yams, niyams, the way you look after yourself and the way you look after society or your behavior in society. Then comes asana, physical movement. Then comes pranayama, which is breath control or movement of energy through breath. Then comes pratyahara, which is a few stages before meditation. So pratyahara is detaching from the senses, which is what martial arts, yoga makes you or asks you to do, which is going beyond your senses. Then comes dharana, a stage just before meditation, as we know it. And then comes dhyana, which is known as meditation. And after dhyana comes the state of superconsciousness, which is samadhi. I personally believe that each one of us get to experience this state at some point in a yoga practice or in our life practices. The question is not whether you achieve the state. The question is whether how quickly, with practice, can you go into that state and come back out of it. That is the question. And that is why the flexibility of the mental part is very important. For example, I myself, when I was doing yoga in the earlier days, I was stuck to the philosophy of yoga, of samadhi, of meditation. And that restricted me from expression or self-expression or expressing myself. So in short, I believe every philosophy, including what I'm telling you, is not meant to be taken on the word. It's meant to just scratch the surface and get you to think. It's when we get stuck into any philosophy, any modality, whether it's yoga, whether it's tai chi, whether it's martial arts, whether it's textbook, whether it's science, you limit yourself. And that's why I'm not a firm believer of living somebody else's life through their stories. I suggest you use stories, scientific data, research material to give you, like they say, a thali, options, where you then understand yourself, you create your life based on that. Remember, balance, balance, balance. Now, in me saying create your own life doesn't mean you don't learn from other people's experiences. It's a matter of sitting, understanding, chalking out your direction, and following that direction, and allowing a few pit stops along the way. Let's talk about emotional health. Emotional health is owned, not covered, which means you take responsibility of the emotion, understand it, and move from it. It's not about covering it up. In one of my trainings with an international coach, he explained to me how he uses emotions to enhance the performance of his international athletes, and how actors, believe it or not, are elite athletes because they work with emotions on a daily basis. And that is probably one of the reasons why actors are usually a little bit on the not so stable side. They are prone to depression, and they're prone to losing the foundation. And that's because when you work with emotions, you sometimes get lost and you forget who you really are. This is why it's very, very important to understand yourself through meditation. Create your circle of safety, because once you know who you are or who you want to be, you will keep coming back to that circle. And that forms the foundation of who you are and how you handle emotional health. Once you understand your emotions and you understand your triggers, it's a matter of practicing and understanding how best it does not affect you. Rather, how you can understand it and say, okay, thank you, but maybe I want to choose another emotional state. For example, when you go for a buffet, you have so much food in front of you. Your first helping is usually as much as you can, and the second helping is usually based on what you really, really like out of it. So you make a choice. And the more buffets you go for, the quicker you realize that the first helping needs to be the slowest. Because if it's not, you're going to overeat and you're going to feel, right? So it's important to understand emotions in that manner. And it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to be depressed. It's okay not to want to meet somebody. It's okay not to be well. It's completely fine because, like I say, it's a buffet. It's a choice that you make. Sometimes, yes, it's overwhelming. What do you do then? At a point where you feel overwhelmed, it's important to understand your breath, because you will understand the relationship between your breath and being anxious. For example, when I conduct my yoga classes, we do a form of breathing which um, I call emotional breath pattern, or the panting breath. The panting breath is similar to traditional Bastrika. That simulates the breathing of an anxious person. So when you do this breathing pattern under your control, it gives you confidence of handling that emotion. Now, how simple is that? And there are simple aspects and secrets or tips that exist in ancient sciences which help you to understand, like self-practice before you go for a cricket match, like a net practice, where you're simulating the environment so you're ready for it. More on this when we practice yoga or when we practice meditation in one of our future sessions. Let's talk about spiritual health. You don't become spiritual by going to a place of worship. You don't become spiritual by wearing orange robes or black robes or white robes. Yes, that could be a part of being spiritual, but being spiritual is about having the human spirit of collective movement, about smiling, having fun, being sad, but not becoming the sadness. It's about picking up the phone and saying, "Hi, how are you? I hope you're doing well. It's about sitting with yourself and having that spirit that you had when you were a child. The spirit when you fell in love for the first time. The spirit of having this goal of yours when you were a child, thinking about becoming a pilot, going to space. It's about having the spirit to reconnect with yourself. It's about the spirit of loving yourself and loving the other. It's about just being in that space. That is spirituality. But that is not the only words to describe spirituality. Like I keep saying, find your own terms. But at the base of everything is about being a good human being, which means protecting yourself and protecting the others around you. I firmly believe that if you don't look after yourself, you're not being true to the spiritual values of yourself. The stronger and the more balanced you are, the better your community is going to feel with and around you. So it's a very important part of health to have these four aspects. And once you find that balance, you will find that you don't need to actually sit for an intention meditation. You'll find that you're thinking from your heart and the brain, not only from the brain. Because intellectual thinking is one thing, feeling is another. Now, when I started my journey, and I remember when my karate sensei used to keep telling us in class about feeling, and I was like, what does that mean? You know, I was a teenager, so I didn't understand the difference of mental and heart. So it took me time to develop it. Or let me put it this way. I had no idea of what he was talking about, and I was trying to intellectualize it. So in intellectualizing feelings, it doesn't give you a true understanding of what it actually is. So in karate, they kind of break you down. You know, they break you down physically and mentally, so your mind or the brain doesn't have space to think. And once that happens, you start to feel. And when you feel, you're like, oh my God, this is something else. And then you try and intellectualize that. And then again, you go back to the same cycle. I'm laughing because it's so interesting and so much fun, because when you look back and you're like, oh my God, there's such a big difference in understanding and feeling. So you can only feel if you feel and if you sit with yourself. Otherwise, you're simply going to follow the new trend, the new fad. The monkey mind's going to be jumping around, and you'll be jumping from branch to branch, looking, and being a seeker all your life. I must share a bit of a funny incident with you over here about when I went to TAFE in Australia in 2004. And there was a person who was about 45 at that point. So I asked him, I said, "You still studying?" He's like, "Yes. Some of us are students forever. We keep studying and we keep seeking." And he was quite playful and laughing about it. And he actually took the responsibility on himself, saying that, "I wish I didn't have to be a student, but I just love being a student and being a seeker because it makes me feel less responsible." So I thought that was really nice, and he really owned himself. And that really made me feel like, wow, you know, it's okay to be who you want to be. So it's amazing how we have teachers and masters that come to us along our journeys. And it's important for us to be in that moment to pick it up. Okay, so let's move to wealth. Now, wealth includes wealth of knowledge, wealth of health, wealth of money, and any other aspect of abundance you can think of. Wealth is generated by a single focus path of generating it, like anything else and any other discipline. Consistency, commitment are the key. Some people use pharma drugs and stimulants to achieve this state. Some use yoga and meditation. Some use exercise and movement. For the ones that use pharma drugs and stimulants, my question is it worth generating wealth and not having the health to enjoy it? Is it worth working hard every day, generating wealth, your wealth of money, wealth of knowledge, having sleepless nights, not getting to enjoy the moment? Is it worth it? And on the other spectrum, is it worth not working for wealth and just creating this frequency around you that I just want to be healthy and happy, but I don't believe in generating wealth? My question is, what about balance? How about balancing the need of wealth and health and happiness? So remember, the wealth of knowledge does not come only from textbooks. It comes from going within and out to the universe, because there is so much of information out there. There is so much of evolution out there that you just need to connect to where and what you want to go. How do you do that? By meditation and by self-introspection, self-understanding. How do you self-introspect? By talking to yourself, by understanding your patterns, by creating your circle of safety. That circle of safety will keep bringing you back to ground zero, because we know there's a lot of distractions out there right now. And the question is, those distractions are not going to serve you, are they? And if they would serve you, then grab them. Let's talk about relationships. I think we undermine the importance of relationships. Relationships have always been an important part of every advent in human life or human civilization. Whether it's self-growth, whether it's the situation that we're going through now, whether it's business, it's all about relationships. The first thing I learned when I went to sports management school was, it's not what you know, it's who you know and how you maintain those relationships. I've been blessed that I love human relationships and I love human beings. So I've been fortunate enough to have people support me in what I'm trying to do or bringing out health and happiness to people. And it really touches me each time when I think about the love that humanity has to help each one of us out. So how do you have a successful relationship? It's first about starting with yourself, about honoring yourself, about understanding yourself, about loving yourself in all aspects. So move well, eat well, sleep well. You want to indulge in some shopping, go for it. You want to indulge in some sweets, go for it. Express yourself. Stop limiting yourself with all this information that's out there about don't eat this, don't drink that. Have 1 glass of wine a week, have 2 glasses of wine a day. These are all rules and regulations that are simply going to weigh you down. I'm not saying drink wine or drink beer. I'm saying make your own choices. Relate to yourself. Understand what your body, your mind, your spirit, your emotions require. Who are you? What's your circle of safety? How does your triad of balance work for you? What's your circle of wellness looking like? Understand the relationship to yourself. Relate. Some days you want to wake up in the morning, go for it. Some days you want to sleep, go for it. Remember, the weather changes. So do your emotions. So do your mental state. So does the need of your physical body. We are evolving every second, which means every second you have an opportunity of letting go of something that you don't like within yourself and replacing that with something that you want. Now, words are easier, actions are harder. So don't get hypnotized by my words. I suggest you implement what I'm sharing with you. Like I keep saying, there is no shortcut, there is no easy way. It's about being consistent and committed. And again, don't kill yourself to be consistent and committed. Have a goal, work towards the goal, and have a few pit stops along the way. Enjoy the journey. I'm going to read something out so I don't miss the flow. Relationships includes you, your loved ones, your community, and everything that you own, you interact with. This includes your physical, emotional, spiritual body, the cosmos, the outverse, the inverse. It comes down to your communication with them, either verbally, self-talk, look in the mirror and keep talking to yourself, look into your phone, record yourself. Non-verbally, actions you take like body massages, self-care, grooming. The most important person in the relationship is you. It starts with you, not necessarily you first, but you, and maybe parallel the others in the community. If you can't relate to yourself, then how will you relate to others? So take the plunge. It's scary, it's deep, but it's fun and it's rewarding. Because once you relate to yourself, your circle of safety is safe with you and without you. This means people sense it and allow that space for you to own. Health, wealth, and relationships, the triad of balance. Keep working on it every day. Ask yourself, am I feeling healthy today? Wealth. Ask yourself, what amount of wealth do I need? Do I want knowledge today? Do I want love today? Do I want money today? Do I want dollars, rupees, whatever it may be? Find the wealth that you require and keep talking to it every day. Relationships. Ask for the relationships you want. Cherish the relationships you have, your family, your parents, your loved ones, your friends. Life is too short. It's too short to be working, 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 and not spending quality time. I don't know about you, but I am taking this time and opportunity to connect with my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister. And it's an adjustment process, and we are all in the same boat. We're adjusting to each other's spaces, each other's needs, wants, because after so long, we've had time to sit with ourselves and understand the space around us. Our parents who have brought us up have had their own journeys. And here we are now, having our own journeys and merging our journeys together. Just imagine how thankful and how grateful we are going to be at the end of this whole event, whenever it may be. This is when you're going to be tested to be flexible, but strong. And to be strong, you need a foundation. And mark my words, I'm saying need, because it's very important that you have your foundation solid. But at the same time, be flexible. Honor flexibility. And how do you do that? You keep training your mind like you train your body. It's not difficult. Try it. It'll be fun, it'll be fruitful, and you'll enjoy going where you're going. Thank you very much for your time today, and I will see you tomorrow to discuss a very important topic: own yourself, or own your shit. Once you understand who you are, once you understand what you want to own, life becomes simple, you have less conflict, and you just move along your merry way. You stop judging people and you simply focus on your goal.